Hey, what's up guys, it's Oakley, and we're replaying on Empire Divided. It is now out, so I got online, played some multiplayer battles with a couple of you guys, and this battle is going to be entitled pretty much the Storm of Spears. That's because we're going to be storming a city with nothing but spears, and when I say we, I meant actually my opponent, because he is actually the one who I'm starting off here. He's going to be Palmyra, facing forward with a lot of their pikes who are pretty notorious for being rather hard to get off the battlefield. So he has a pike only build, or a pike core, a very strong one at that. So it looks to be about 7 or 8 pikes, and then some armored pikes positioned on the flanks. Pushing forward. Let's put this on slow motion because I do have some troops in the city. These guys look pretty awesome. In the rear, or in the center, he does have some of these Hemian archers. Looks like 4 of these guys. Pretty good archers. They can stand up in a fight, and they can dish out a fair amount of pain. So there's no way I'm really going to be busting through this. So he can kind of take control of the streets and fire away to push me back. He also has some Imperial Cataphract bodyguards. Looking very dope. Looking very nice. And then on this flank, he has 2 Palmyrian legionnaires. So overall, Palmyra being able to field some very robust compositions, and we'll see if these pikes end up getting nerfed in this battle. We'll see how they do perform. Sieges are perhaps not their best bet, especially if you're on the attack, but it does give you some nice potential to hold city streets and allow your archers to do the damage they're looking to do. Meanwhile, I am fielding the Alani in the defense here, and I brought a fair amount of cavalry. I'm anticipating having to charge out. It was kind of weird. As the Alani, you have no ranged troops that you can bring. The only ones are going to be mounted. So I knew that my opponent was likely to bring some pikes or heavy troops. That's why I brought a fair amount of these archers. So some of these are going to be your just standard fare step archers, really cheap guys. I do have a couple cataphracts, noble step cataphract bodyguard, and yeah, so 2 of them, one as my gen, another one as close support. So they're going to be moving out into the more open terrain, and I'm going to try and wrap around the pikes, see if I can drop in on those archers. We have some more cavalry here. These are going to be the women. These are the Amazonian step archers, I believe. No, sorry, these are still the regular archers. I have, how many of them? 2 on this flank. 3 of them, actually. The Amazonians are a little bit further, and mind you, all of these are hidden, so my opponent doesn't quite know what's going to be coming at him. All right, here are my noble Amazonians. Looking pretty good. Historically attested to have existed in the sense that, yes, the steppe tribes did send forth women riders, and they're trained pretty highly. But I don't know what they did to these unit models. They do look a little bit creepy. Perhaps a bit too much of the rouge on the makeup here. And the intent dead set eyes. But anyways, these guys are going to be pretty useful in this battle, with all of my archers actually having heavy shot at their disposal. In terms of my infantry, I do have a couple pretty decent units. Alani axemen taking position up through here. In the back, I have another kind of roving band of steppe warband, the cheapest of units, and they're going to be meant to kind of trigger some of my flaming balls. I've got 2 of them here, 1 of them up front, and then a 4th one here. These flaming balls don't really have the best of angles, but against slow-moving pikes, even if they do trigger and just kind of sit around, they can burn anyone near them. In the center, I also have 2 armored axe warriors, some of the higher tier Alani forces. These guys do look pretty marvelous. Let's get a nice little shot of that with their settlement in the back, ready to take the enemy pikes, or seeming to think they're ready to take it. And then I have another Alani axeman unit on this flank. So a fair amount of axe units. I do have some swords. Yeah, the swords we saw. Oh no, actually it looks like it's all armored axe warriors. I think my pair of swordsmen are going to be, yeah, deployed on this flank. 2 of the armored steppe warriors kind of going to be sneaking around. The cataphracts have joined them, so I did want to bust out of the city to have a little bit of the maneuverability advantage back on my side. So here they go, coming around, crouching on the flank, and now we can see the enemy forces pushing forward into the city. Some of their pikes getting out here, and if I can exploit them on the open ground, that will be to my benefit. They're going to be coming awfully close to this little ambush site. Over here, they are pushing forward. They're going to get past my flaming balls before I was able to get in position and trigger them, unfortunately. The statue just kind of hanging out here. What's up, man? And yeah, my guys do a double take. I wanted to trigger those flaming balls. It's not going to be the case. At least on that front, so I'm going to pull out, try and get a bit more of a concave. On this front, I do notice that we have 2 pikes stationed here, and they are looking forward to having the archers join them. But while they're waiting, I'm going to go ahead and try and trigger these flaming balls and see if they get anything done. There you go, a couple of them popping, and like I said, not going to get much distance, but here you go. the slow crush inevitably does do a lot of damage. So that is excellent against these pike forces. But for some reason, my guys didn't want to ignite the other ones. I don't know if it was the close proximity, but that got, holy crap, over 60 men there. So that was really good. But once they're engaged in combat, it's going to be hard for me to hold out. My guy's also going to be facing off against some of these pikemen, but now I've come out with some of my Alani Amazonian archers. Close range, and they're going to be firing away just like in the movie Wonder Woman, which was pretty awesome. I just watched it the other night on Netflix. Pretty dope. I had held off on it, but it does live up to the hype. It's pretty sick. Yeah, so that's kind of one of the only ways you can defeat these pikes is going to be heavy shot in the back. So I'm trying to get that, bait out this pikeman unit, just chase after me, and then I can get some more guys to come in. But the main threat I have is, yeah, I can fire into him, but once these archers get into close range, they're going to be trying to fire into my guys, take that ability of me to pepper him away. And that's going to force me to handle these pikes head on. And handle is not necessarily the best word. I'm going to try and confront them, but for the most part, just be driven back. And this is not an engagement I'm going to want to take. I'm going to pull out in this, knowing that I have a little bit more time, you know, a little bit more ground to give, so to speak. Archers are here, defended by some pikes. They're going to be firing up over the heads of our guys into my units. I'm going to try and engage with the enemy on this front, having gotten some nice fire into them. More guys penetrating deeply into my ranks. I'm going to try and do some surrounding action on this front here. My archers did come out into the open, and we're firing into the flank of these pikes. But armored cataphracts and other units are going to be enough to ward me off. And it looks like he's going to be seeking a gap here. So with my units getting out of the woods, all of a sudden, there's a big gap exposed in my lines. So my steppe tribes are going to have to get out of here. One of them routes at the very sight of these cataphracts, hemming them in. So this is not necessarily looking good for my guys. If he can just kind of zone me out here, that's a lot of my units on the outskirts of the city while he continues his push. So I'm trying to hold against these pikes, but I really need something. I can dodge around them for a little bit. I really need these archers to keep the fire up, as they are trying to do. So I do have to sacrifice one of my forces, Alani Axemen, to hold the Palmyran Legionary Cav. We'll see how well they do. Looks like they're doing alright. My archers here are continuing to fire into these guys, and I'm just denying a fight against these pikes. No need to engage. Meanwhile, over here, I did charge into the back of these archers with some cataphracts. The enemy tried to use my flaming balls, but they do have a little bit of a timer on them, so luckily that didn't do any damage to me. I do roll around with my other cataphracts to hit these Hamian archers. This is going to be a godsend for my troops who are getting pretty heavily hit by those archers. So this is going to be a nice little pickup here. Although they do have the ability to whip out spears as well, so not going down as easily as you'd think. Man, Palmyra does have a lot of versatility to them, almost seeming a bit overpowered. Haven't played enough to note, but yeah, they have a lot that can counter everything. The fighting continues. One of these units here seems to be devastated and not able to form up its pike phalanx, which is going to be great, allowing me to turn the flank on these guys. But over here, multiple ranks of pikes. Not going to be able to do very much in the face of that. And my units in the back have been shot to pieces by the Hamian archers. Told my steppe Amazonians to pull out of this engagement for the time being and just wait to re-engage. I'm going to try and get some fire, trade some fire with these Hamian archers. My guys coming in for close support. We'll see if they can fire into this. Although it is the armored shielded side being presented to me. And those are some massive massive shields being fielded by these pikemen. Pretty sturdy stuff. Ooh, decapitation for you. But there you have it. Cataphracts coming into the back, helping me to destroy some of these pikemen. So luckily, that excursion that I had outside of the city walls went my way. The enemy cavalry that charged in here was destroyed by reinforcing guys. You can see all the death around here. Steppe horse archers that were just running about have continued to fire away. And one of these guys needlessly chased away some of my horse archers and gave up the fight. And that meant that I could really capitalize on this. So now I've reclaimed this territory. And I'm going to try and take out his archers, knowing that they are critical. If I can get rid of those, then I can piecemeal maneuver my way around the pikes. But just as I do that, you know, I'm pulling a lot of guys outside of the main city center. Means that I'm going to yield control of this area. So this could be troublesome. Over here I'm getting repeated strikes against the Hamians. As we said, they whip out the spears and they can handle it pretty well. And yeah, one of them is going to disengage with a giant little, well, it's redundant, but a large Draco-looking emblem here. get a nice little distance, and even these guys still point blank gonna try and fire into my cavalry. So this should take them out pretty handily. So there you go, cutting swaths through my guys. So this is the problem when there's multiple archer units, especially with spears. If they can hold you down, then the second one will just tear you apart, and that's what they're doing just now. So, and that's against my general, who's down to 60 men. Another volley comes in. He's tanking some of the damage, but it should be pretty punishing. And that's why I'm coming around with my Alani Amazonian riders to stick these guys in the side, at least tie them down. And some of my Amazonians dying in the impact, so very light cavalry not being very good at this task here. Another charge coming in as well, but it's all about just trying to tie them down. My guys down to 53 men. I'm going to try and pull them through to tie these guys down because I'm taking a lot of damage. Meanwhile, in the back, we've been able to sandwich a couple of these pikes. Cataphracts are coming into my guys. May rout the Alani axemen, but I have enough units in the rear to deal with them. And then my cataphracts over here have free reign against some of these guys. So in the open ground, with a single unit, yeah, I can deal with them. This flank is pretty much won. A couple little units here and there, and especially fortuitous for me is the fact that this general is caught up here, so I should be able to kill him. But like we stated before, the enemy has captured the center plaza with some pretty heavy, oh, actually 2 units, yeah. Pretty heavy units and high health units, so he's going to be able to actually secure this plaza, and he could theoretically wall it off. So I'm desperately coming around with some units on this front, some of the Alani axemen as well. And yeah, pikemen coming around the side. So yeah, he may be able to claim this. Here comes the banner being raised just as I'm finishing off some of the guys. So I'm going to have to pull the rest of my forces in, which I'm going to be doing here real soon. My general tried to disengage from this fight because actually it went the way of the enemy here. 141 kills on these Hemian archers with those spears being able to rebuff, you know, 3 units charging into them. That's incredible. And they brought my general down to almost no health. So that is a very hard unit to deal with. I'm going to try and pull out my general. I believe he did die in that engagement, but it's important to keep the general's unit alive at least. The enemy does abandon the central plaza. I'm not quite sure why. He had it under his control. I would have kind of buttoned up the perimeter here. Yeah, he's going to be coming back with that and just kind of circle the wagons in this little position, bring back his archers and try and hold that till the end. We'll see if it works. Some of my guys are going to rout in the face of that. I guess some of his archers were firing up and over for cover, and it's going to rout my guys, or at least attempt to rout them. But in the last second, I am going to pop some of these flaming balls. You'll see it takes a couple seconds before they actually become hot, and there you go. Now is when they're going to start to burn some units. So a little bit of kills. My guy's not going down without a fight. I was hoping to pop the second one, but they do rout, unfortunately. And here he comes with the other unit coming back into the center. And yeah, so now he's reclaiming that area. Go ahead and fast forward this a little bit as I try and just use some maneuvers to get around these units, disengaging with the ones he's pursuing, and then charge into the rear. Once he turns about, I'm going to charge into him, knowing that that's my strategy. He's going to try and, you know, combat me and fight his way until he has his back against the wall and try and fend me off. So pretty good move. But I do get a nice little nifty strike on these guys. Am able to shatter them, which allows my guys to now disengage and, you know, knock piecemeal a couple units off the battlefront. And these step warbands being able to do what the cavalry couldn't. I guess the spears here not being a very big bonus to these guys, although they are cheering a little bit preemptively. And they're going to try and charge into these Hemian archers, but being seen off. So these archers really paying for themselves, doing great work there. But their numbers have been rather diminished, and at this point, I've been able to surround and consume the remaining pikes. So there you have it. That is going to be about the end of the fight. Those archers still standing despite perhaps Army Lawrence's with 223 kills. Absolutely absurd. So you can see in a more traditional fight, his army probably would have done really well, but the fact that it had to kind of split up across these various areas and got separated was what went to my advantage. So good thing I brought that cavalry and the archers, otherwise I probably would have been absolutely picked apart. And this was a fun little battle, cool stuff. And yeah, like I said, I've been poking around online. I hope to see you guys out there, yeah, supporting the game. Yeah, let me know what you think in the comments below. If you've encountered these Palmyran pikes and what you think of them, or even if you've been playing the campaign, what you think of that as well. Lastly, if you haven't seen our Critical Moments in History, Odonathus, Savior of the East, definitely watch that. it sort of sets as like a basis for the Crisis of Third Century, the campaign that you'll be playing with this DLC. It gives you kind of a baseline for what's been happening, especially in the East, and it preempts the rise of the Palmyrian Empire. So definitely check that out if you haven't. Let's end the replay and take a look at some of the stats here. Lots of kills across the board on a lot of our dudes. 377 on my guys, so thoroughly impressive on the Cataphracts. Really good stuff. Even some of these Step Horse Archers doing good work. Amazonian's not doing so well, but actually rather impressive. So when I was able to surround the Pikes, getting lots of kills. So pretty impressive on these Alani Axemen, although you'll notice in the battle I had to be very careful with how I engage them. Had I charged head on to the Pikes, these Pikes would have gotten way more kills. Some of them did do quite that, 158 and 93, so good work on them. But the Hamian Archers outperforming them by a mile with, excuse me about that, with 227 kills, 175, 58, and 43 for some other units. So overall, pretty well performed by elements of the army that you wouldn't necessarily expect them to. Had he traded out the rest of these guys for swords, and he could have done pretty well. Anyways, that's it for this battle. Hope you guys enjoyed. Stay tuned for more. See you next one. Peace out.